Those of you with experience in web development might recall that with HTML, divs or elements without any inner children can self-enclose. The same rule applies to JSX, meaning in our index.js file, we can change this app element from 2 tags to 1. So let's go ahead and do that. App and a self-enclosing tag. Next, we'll focus on structuring this application. First off, we'll add some template JSX to the app that we can work off of later. Then, we'll add some styling to the piece by adding a CSS file. Let's go ahead and add the structure. Let's start by adding a title div to our main component. So let's delete this text right now and add a div for the title. And we'll just say countdown to December 25, 2017, Christmas. Now we're going to add some structure for the countdown clock. We'll have 1 outer div and 4 inner divs. One will be for the days. So let's say 14 days. And of course, we're just making this up for now. We'll say 30 hours. We'll need one for the minutes as well. 15 minutes. And then 20 seconds. And I'm going to make the days lowercase since I made all the other time lowercase. And there, React updates automatically as soon as this saves, thanks to Create React App. Next, we'll have an input field where the users can type in a new date, as well as a button where they can submit that new date. So, let's add an input field. And once again, we'll have a self-enclosing tag, and we'll have a placeholder for now that just says new date. And then we'll have a button right underneath that says submit. And let's go ahead and wrap this within a div itself, just so they are placed together in the same section. And there we go. We have some templating for our app. But right now, it looks really ugly, to be honest. So let's add some CSS to make this just a little better. Simply, let's add a new file called app.css to the source folder. App.css. First, let's make a global app class. And then we'll say we're going to align all the text to the center. We're going to make all the fonts around 35 pixels. So that way we can actually see it. And then we're going to go ahead and give this a margin. I don't want it to be touching the top. So we're going to say 20% because that's a nice adaptable number whenever you're changing the screen width. Now those of you familiar with CSS might already know how it works. Basically, you're adding classes to each of your divs to apply certain stylings such as text align, font size, or margins to change the appearance of your application. So let's go ahead and add this app class to our component now. Before we add any styling, the first thing we need to do is actually include the CSS within our component. So we'll import app.css. And it's really as simple as that. We can already go ahead and start using the CSS within our application. Now it might feel intuitive to just write class equals app here, because we already named it app within our CSS file. However, if we save this, we'll notice that none of the stylings get passed down. That's because class is already a reserved keyword within JavaScript. So JSX uses a different keyword to name class names within their templates. Can you guess what it is? I said it earlier, class name. And there we go. There's our new styling already applied. Now, I want the title to be more distinct, so we're going to add an app title component. And to make it more distinct, I'm going to increase the font size. And then of course we need to add the app title. Class name equals app title. And there we go. It's much larger. And I'm going to go ahead and resize this just so we can have the full effect. Nice. And then each of these divs are going to have a separate class name. So the first one is going to be clock days. The next one is going to be clock hours. The next one is going to be clock minutes. And the final one is going to be clock seconds. Let's add the styling now. And the reasoning behind this styling is that I want all of these to be in line. I don't like how there's a new line in between all of them, so we're going to change that now. So for my clock hours, I'm going to say the display is in line. And then for my clock days, I'm also going to say that the display is in line. And there we go. We see them line to line. And then, of course, we need to do that for the minutes. As well as the seconds. All right, cool. However, we're kind of being a little inefficient with our CSS. We could actually significantly shorten this by using a CSS trick. If certain classes share the same property, we can actually shorten it. We can just use a comma and say that clock hours also inherits the display inline. And as we save, we see that the same styling still applies. So we'll do the same thing for the clock minutes, as well as the clock seconds, to make our code that much more efficient. And then of course, look, they're pretty much touching each other. I can't really differentiate that these are separate words. So let's give them all a margin of 10 pixels. And there we go. That's enough styling for now. Don't worry, we'll have a trick up our sleeve later to really tie in the whole styling and look of this application. So let's go ahead and move on to the next video.